Hey guys, it's Nick here from Unique Life Design. In the searing sun, I had an idea to make a video that is a bit different from my previous videos. I did make quite a few videos. I've been giving you a lot of information about losses, damages, heartbreaking ache, and so on and so forth. And today, I didn't want you to leave you with the impression that it's just that when you're doing tropical gardening. I wanted to show you some good news, some positive stories, some unexpected recoveries, some things that kind of make your heart sink when you see it, especially when it's unexpected, especially when you were worried about the plant and then it makes a recovery. So yeah, I will take you around the garden and I'll be showing you different plants that had suffered and we weren't sure they will come back after the winter, and they did. So yeah, let's go. So this is our Brahea edulis, which spear pulled. I was quite worried about it, to be honest. I didn't expect a recovery because we lost Brahea armata, which is supposedly more hardier and it's more resilient, but unfortunately it perished. This one though, you can see where the damage was. It started growing again, and as you can see, it's already, the new leaves are out. The big difference for me is that this species is a fast grower, so once it starts growing, it's usually able to outgrow whatever the damage was, where the infection was, you can see here. So this one, now we're waiting to open up properly the leaves and hopefully push quite a few new leaves by the end of the growing season. So yeah, that's fantastic news. Another success story we have here is the Cordyline choco mint that I have shown before, that died and had 2 pups. So we managed to actually take one of the pups out with quite good root system, and we decided to put it in here to grow. So we have them at 2 separate places, and so far it's doing great. Basically, it's been here for 2 weeks and it started growing. It continued to grow. There weren't any negative effects from the transplantation as far as we can see, which again is a good story. Next thing is we weren't sure about our Cannas. We had 2 types of Cannas that survived the winters before, and as you can see, let me take you there. This is the yellowish one, still not very much yellow, but this is the type. It will become much more yellow as it grows. Here is another one here just next to the Trachycarpus, and this is the other type here. So the green one, both of them came back, so we are quite happy to report that. Our bananas all were decimated to the ground, Musabas jaw. So looking at it and the deep rot that had set in the previous stems, we weren't quite sure what will happen. We know that they're root hardy, but we had lost bananas before which never came back, which I am very happy to report that this is not the case this time. The bananas are back. They all sprout, I should say, quite prolifically, new pups around the old stems. I will be showing you a few more of those along the garden. You can see here the old stem that just died down to the ground. So we were even to take up a few pups here and there and just plant them in other spaces. So that's another positive story. Unexpected damage here we had. This is our Chamaerops humilis Vulcano. I was quite sure that they had gone through the winter quite well, but when the weather started to warm up, the damage started to show. It's spear pulled, and I will show you. It's actually quite visible where the damage was. I will try to get there. So you can see, I guess, the level where the damage was, and it started growing again, and it's outgrown it. So yeah, very happy to report that. Another good few stories, this small Yucca desmetiana. I was really worried about them. I didn't think they will make it through the winter, because they had suffered before damage from much milder winters, and we lost a few, but we managed to keep pups, and some regrew, and I believe the big one I will show you in the side garden. Actually we cut the main stem above the rot, and we rerouted it, and then we planted it, and it's growing now. But I'm happy to report that both of them that we have now, it just literally had no damage through the winter, which only comes to show that how difficult it is to gauge what the plant can take, and it's so much dependent on the specific types of difficulties it has, the specific winter, and sometimes it's pure luck. So as you can see, this one are great, so that's great. Next thing I wanted to show you is our Cycas panzhihuaensis, the cold hardy sago. It is having a new flush, and I'm usually struggling to prevent swags and snails getting to it, but this time, with a minimal exception of the newest leaf, it seems to be doing quite well. So if it can keep those and grow them, and it will be looking quite lush. So yeah, that's a good news. We also weren't sure how our Calla lilies will take the winter. They had disappeared during winter time, but I'm glad to report that all of them came back very strongly. Even I can show you here, one is flowering already. We had the one at the side garden flowering already. So yeah, that's great. What else next? Our little Chamaedorea microspadix. So you can see it started growing again. It had lost all of its stems, and this one was very little and very fragile, so I wasn't sure we'll be able to keep growing this one. But as you can see, it has picked up speed, and it has started growing. Next to it, Cyathea australis. We had very small one, and again it lost all its leaves, but as you can see now, it's growing up already, even trying to take the sun out of the Chamaedorea. The good news is that the Chamaedorea does not like too much sun anyway, so I don't think it minds too much. So yeah, similar thing with our hostas. I will show you. We have, I believe, 3 types of hostas. They came back, and as you can see, this one is preparing to flower. So I'm quite looking forward to the full beauty of the flower. That is quite nice. That is the other hosta we have here. And again, further down, the third type, the blue mammoth, I believe, also preparing to flower. You can see, I believe, the flower at the back. So yeah, that's good news. Next thing we were quite worried about was our tree ferns. Will they come back after the winter? I'm glad to report that all of our tree ferns came back. The only thing that hasn't started properly yet is the small head of our two-headed tree fern. I'll probably show you a bit later. It's the only one that hasn't pushed up a new leaf, but I believe it's a matter of time, because the big head is already romping away. So yeah, our 3 ferns survived with flying colors. Let me show you. I love the, well, fur-like appearance in here. I actually quite like to strike it like this, a bit like a cat. I'm weird to know. But yeah, lovely for them to start growing. Here is the giant variety of Calla lily. Also recovering, also growing strongly. I'm sure it will grow much bigger than that by the end of the growing season. Hopefully, probably flower too. Now, here we have a couple of unexpected damages. That is Chamaerops, humilis, standard form. I would never have expected it to suffer damage, but it did. The good news is that after the spear pull, it had grown out of it. Similar story with Trachycarpus adasite at the back there. As you can see in the middle, it had a quite severe spear pull, but when the weather became better, it started growing again. It's already outgrown the damage, so we're looking forward to the new leaves now. Here, another view. You can see another of our 3 ferns having the new leaves. Here we have another banana cluster, I should say, probably around the dead body of the old one. Life finds a way. Similar story back there with the 2 small bananas growing next to the body of the dead one. Finally, what we have here, the biggest, our big Washingtonia in the back garden. It's not as big as the one in the side garden, but it had suffered very, very badly. As you can see, some surgery was undertaken to try and help it, and we did it once and it started rotting once again further and further, so we had to do it again, and we were quite despondent at that time. I wasn't sure really it was gonna make it. Something was eating in the middle of it, so we just decided to give it a chance and see how it goes. And as you can see, we have newer here already, the beginning, the forming of new leaves appearing, so I'm pretty sure now it's gonna make it. It's gonna look a bit funny, I'm not sure how long, but that's a small price to pay to keep this very interesting and very mature plant. Well, not very mature, but really the one that has been quite well established and quite big. Here is where our biggest bananas were, and surprise, surprise, the biggest puppy we have so far is just next to it. I will show you the girth of the old. Here is where our biggest Yucca Jewel was, multi-stamped, quite the height. Unfortunately, it all died to the ground after the winter, but as you can see, we have already, I actually can see a 3rd pup already. So this is the biggest one, and I hope you can see 2 smaller ones, one tiny actually, but it's definitely not that. And if the good weather keeps, I'm sure by the end of the growing season we will still have an interesting look here. So that's a good news. Here is where we had to cut our big Yucca decipiens. Unfortunately, it was rotting from the lower part of the trunk, but this is its baby, and as I expected, since we removed the mother, it has been growing. It's probably using the whole of the root system, and it's been growing quite significantly. So yeah, that's a good news. We're still trying to resurrect the big plant, but it will take time to reroot if it happens. So yeah, that is another positive story. Here we have our big Washingtonia robusta. As you can see, the big stem had quite the significant damage, but it's already outgrown it. We had cut the rotten part already, but as you can see, given a bit of good weather, it started growing once again. So that's fantastic news for us. Finally, I want to finish with this Dasylirion serratifolium. As you can see, quite a bit of damage, and it wasn't even only from this winter, it was from before, but of course after the winter it looks really bad, rotten. But after we cleared the rot as much as possible, at the cost of shredding the skin of my hands, I tried with gloves, but it's a bit of a finer job. The leaves are quite difficult to separate with heavy gloves. So yeah, I had to do it by hand. But finally I'm quite happy with the result, because after we cleared the rot as much as possible, as you can see here, the new growth is rot free. And something that made me even happier, I really like discoveries like this, is that it actually had produced a new baby. I'm not sure if you can see it. Let me try and find the view. Let me see here. Yep, there it is. A new growing point, a new baby showing. So that's how I know that even if we have a repeated problem with the main growing point at the top, the plant is not dead, and it will keep growing. So yeah, that's a great way to finish this. Okay, that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed getting some positive news for a change from myself. We're as far as mourning people as you can imagine, but of course after the difficult winter we had, we were a bit down and probably sounded a bit down about it all. But as you can see, a lot of things are coming back, a lot of things are becoming lovely, and the garden is beginning again to get a good shape, and it's getting better and better every day. So all I can do is to give you a bit of encouragement by showing you these things, and to wish you to have a lovely day. See you soon. Bye.